EAGLES, Eagles.
Welcome in, everybody. A good football Monday, an overreaction Monday after the Birds get a massive win in Week 10, 34-6. They completely trounced their division opponents. I want to welcome everybody in this morning on this Monday. Before I get into the show, the Eagles content, the reaction of the game, we'll have two great guests in Jeff Kerr and Chris Franklin. I want to extend a warm hand and a thank you to our veterans. It's Veterans Day today, so happy Veterans Day to all those who took the oath to defend America, our values. Your courage and fighting spirit are what make this country great, and they're the reason that we can sit here today and talk about football, pretty inconsequential in the big picture of things. So thank you to any veterans today that listen to the show and that don't listen to the show. We appreciate all veterans out there as well. Johnny Mac, how you doing on this Monday morning, brother?
Doing well. Yeah. Just having a little chuckle at Jerry Jones' existential meltdown, but before the show. But yeah, so true about the veterans. Happy Veterans Day, everybody. And you know, they have to perform when the sun is out, the veterans. So, you know, I'm not gonna complain about the sun at AT&T Stadium. But evidently that's a big deal down in Dallas.
Yeah, apparently Jerry didn't like what was said about the sun beating in through the windows. I didn't know what to make of it. You know, I said Dak plays there every year. I mean, how big of a problem could it be?
Well, exactly. They know where the sun's going to be. Right. So here I should read the back and forth. So someone was complaining about the sun, and by the way, they were destroyed in this game. And yeah, there was one play where maybe if CeeDee Lamb picks it up, it might have been a touchdown. And I don't even know, to tell you the truth, because it's probably a badly thrown ball by Cooper Rush. And let's pretend it was a touchdown. Who cares? You know, they weren't winning that game. So it's all inconsequential. But somebody was asking Jerry about the sun. And he said, by the way, we know where the sun is going to be when we decide to flip the coin or not. Blah, blah, he's probably win the coin toss or not. We do know where the damn sun is going to be in our own stadium. And some knucklehead asked him, why not put curtains over the windows? And Jerry said, well, let's tear the damn stadium down and build another one. Are you kidding me? Everybody's got the same thing. Every team that comes in here has the same issues. I'm saying the world knows where the sun is. You get to know that almost a year in advance. Someone asked me about the sun. What about the sun? Where's the moon?
The sun. Jerry's crashing out, John, over the sun.
Well, I'm defending Jerry in that one narrow circumstance. I mean, come on. The sun, come on. That's like sometimes there's sun in baseball and center. You deal with it or you don't deal with it. One or the other. As you mentioned, how many years have they played there? How many years have they been successful there? The Eagles haven't won there in 7 years. You know, a lot of those were night games, so maybe that helped out the Eagles. They still lost. But yesterday, that was a complete domination. Got started a little bit late. I hate to, that's been a story all year for the Eagles. I hate to think about what it would have been if they weren't sloppy in the first half, because, it would have been something.
Yeah, well, I have a stat actually on the after the turnover, John. I have the stat. Let me pull it up. And this is courtesy of Tucker Bagley on Twitter. He tweets, after Jalen Hurts' second turnover, the Eagles outscored the Cowboys 27-0 and allowed just 38 total yards. Yeah. 38 total yards after the turnover. So you talk about if they started fast, I mean, well, they destroyed them after the turnovers, and if they started quick, it might have been an even bigger blowout.
Yeah, Cooper Rush is not prepared to deal with anything in this league unless everything is perfect and pristine around him. And that's a lot of quarterbacks, and they probably should have started Trey Lance because at least he's got some athleticism to do some things on his own, but wouldn't have made a difference. I mean, let's be honest. They they're in a bad spot. A lot of teams are in a bad spot when they go to backup quarterbacks, but they're in a really bad spot, to say the least. And the Eagles deserve credit for knocking down the pen, as I say.
Yeah.
I'm not going to take a lot from this game. I know everybody wants to translate it moving forward. You're not getting Cooper Rush again, so I wouldn't spend too much time worrying about translating things, but it was pretty impressive on the individual day. And, I brought up another playoff team yesterday and on the post-game show that didn't do it, and we're in a dogfight all afternoon. They did manage to win, talking about Minnesota, Jacksonville, but
Yep.
they managed to win, but just so many mistakes kept Jacksonville in it to the very end. Similar to the Eagles the week prior, but on this particular game day, it's just nothing to complain about. Nothing to complain. All I could come up with yesterday were the late throws in the first half from Jalen Hurts, or not even the late throws, the holding on to the football too long. And when I watched the all 22, maybe guys aren't open. That's possible. I find it hard to believe.
Some people were talking about that damn son in that quarter because that was right after they flipped the field, and then all of a sudden he's not letting the ball go. Now I tweeted, I think that's a little bit of an overreaction, but I don't know. Maybe there's something to it, John.
Maybe we'll like I said, we'll get to see a little bit better. Although hopefully we're on. Actually, I want to get on to Washington. To be honest,
I know. Well, it's going to be a fast turning of the page this week. I mean, Thursday night game. So
yeah. So who knows if we'll ever get to it? But knowing AJ and Devontae generally get open, so I mean somebody's probably open at some point there, and it's more than this one game. Let's be honest. So for the crutch people want to make excuses for everything, it's far more than this one game. He holds on to the football too long. Come on. Is anybody arguing that? At times he holds on to the football. Is that unfair? Does anybody really think that's unfair?
No,
other than
fair at all. I mean, it's not unfair. It's the truth. Now, Kenny P in the chat says I do. This is the one thing that did change my perspective a little bit on it. That CeeDee Lamb throw in the end zone. I mean, CeeDee didn't even react. He didn't even move for that ball. And I'm like,
I
oh, shit.
Get it, but again, it's not one game.
Yeah,
it's
I know what you're saying. I just meant like in that moment, he holds on to it a little long. Yesterday he was holding it for 5, 6, 7 seconds. I don't know. I think your mental clock should be going off at that point anyway. But I hear what you're saying. John, what do you make of the defense, man? A lot of talk about that defense. They're playing really good football. I know you're playing Cooper Rush, but there's definitely still some really positives out there. The way Zack Baun's playing, the way Quinyon Mitchell's playing. I mean, Brian Baldinger put out one of his Baldy breakdowns this morning on Quinyon Mitchell, and he tweets, Quinyon doesn't get beat. It's one of the certainties of life. And he's watching him cover CeeDee Lamb, and it's, I know you're
over the top. It's
hey, look,
coming.
it's overreaction.
I don't know. I don't know when it's coming, but it's coming. That's everybody. I mean, Patrick Surtain, Sauce Gardner, Jalen Ramsey, who's been Nick Sirianni's favorite cornerback for years. Doesn't matter who you are, you're getting beat. So for the people saying that's a certainty of life in the NFL, that's not
around. But still, I mean, I thought he played well, and he is a positive in the game as well as Zack Baun.
Yeah, I mean the whole defense was just ridiculous. I mean, now again, it's Cooper Rush, so but that's even to a degree understanding. Like it's really hard to play an NFL game and be under 2 yards per pass attempt. And I mean, he's afraid to throw the football down the field. He's not stretching the field. Everybody can jump everything. And the Eagles took advantage of it, and they deserve complete credit. And that's why this game coming up is so important for a host of reasons. But one is you're going to have, and I like the Eagles matchup with Vic Fangio and the veteran, because he's going to throw some stuff at Jaden Daniels that Jane Daniels has never seen before. But this is a guy who can make plays out of nothing, as you've seen multiple times this year. And this guy is similar to Jalen Hurts in that regard, a pain in the ass. You can do everything right, and you're still beat down the field, whether it's with his legs or his arms. So things get much tougher this week. I think the Eagles defense would be the first to tell you, we did our job, but I don't think they're going to hang their hat on this game as anything more than was. And that was knocking down the pin. And they knocked it down emphatically.
Still feels good, man, to blow the Cowboys out in Arlington. I mean, Johnny, you haven't beat the team there since 2017, dude. What is that, 7 years? That's a pretty long time we haven't won in Arlington, Texas, and we did it in a big way yesterday. I know you can't take much of it, but I do think the team should feel good about the win and start preparing for Thursday
night. Well, it's funny.
Night.
I always go to Green Bay because the storied history of Lambeau Field, everybody knows about it. And there's a whole generation that doesn't know it didn't exist for about 20 years between Bart Starr and Brett Favre, to the point they actually played a bunch of their games in Milwaukee because they said, "Oh, what the hell? Who cares? We're getting waxed every week. Let's play in the bigger city and draw a few more fans." My point of bringing that up, because I always bring that up, the Eagles in this 6-year losing streak in AT&T Stadium lost to good football teams. They didn't play a good football team yesterday. So magically, there's no home field advantage. There's no home field advantage anywhere if you have a bad football team.
Right.
And they had a bad football team yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, the CBS, shout out to the CBS crew. They gave a lot of good footage of the Cowboys fans crying on the telecast, which was great to see. John, what do you make of Zack Baun, man? I mean, he just continues to impress. I know I get it, yesterday's opponent, but he's still individually as a player just playing lights out football. You got to wonder if Howie Roseman is looking and thinking, should I get ahead of this? Should I get ahead of this? Should I get ahead of this? What say you about Zack Baun?
Well, he should get ahead of it, but again, what does that mean? I think a lot of people, and I say this, we talked about this a little bit last week, first of all, it's got to be a two-way street. Zack Baun's got an agent. I think you mentioned that. He's in his ear giving him advice. He said, dude, we're going to cash in. This organization is typically not the one that's going to offer a lot of money to linebackers. Will he sign a 3-year cost-effective deal to stay with the Eagles? Hopefully. And if that's the case, Howie will get it done. The question is, how far do you go? How far do you go?
Right.
Is 10 games, 9 games in 10 weeks, a big enough sample size? You got to be careful with that. It's been spectacular, but again, there's some context in it. There was and I said yesterday, if you at this point of the season, snapshot, this point of the season, because that's all you can do. When you factor in the money, we're talking 1 year, $1.6 million. That's it. Zack Baun is the best free agent signing in football. The best. I mean, I don't think that's even hyperbole. I don't
think it is either.
It's unbelievable what he's been able to do. But I'm not pulling out Roquan Smith contract. I'm not pulling out Fred Warner's contract. So it's difficult. And my guess is Howie is working on it, and then it comes down to Zack. Milton Williams would be signed by now if he wasn't betting on himself. I guarantee you. He's betting on himself.
Zack has commented several times about how much he loves playing in Philly, and I think he did it again last night. I know Ed Kratz wrote an article about that, how much he loves playing here. He says he's been having the most fun playing football since Pee-wee, I think he said.
That was me. That was not Ed.
Oh, you wrote that. Ed tweeted it yesterday. It was you that wrote it. Got it. Yeah.
But I will say that, yes, he's very grateful that this team has given him a chance, because that's half the battle sometimes for these guys. You know, Dan was bringing up some players over the years. I bring up John Randall all the time. Didn't get drafted when it was a 12-round draft. He's in the Hall of Fame. A lot of these guys, if you don't give them an opportunity, you never know. But they get one slim opportunity, and he is hitting a home run with his opportunity so far.
No doubt.
I don't think it's going to change. I think he's going to be one of the best linebackers in football through the entire season. There'll probably be a few more Atlanta games thrown in there, but it's been pretty impressive.
I'd look to get him signed, man. I know it's early and I get it. You don't have great opponents, but he's clearly showed the instinct and the skill set to be able to.
But that's where you going. Are you paying?
Yeah, I don't know.
Like how high are you?
I mean,
going?
what do you think? Like, what's a ballpark number you have in your head when you think about a Zack Baun contract?
$7 million a year.
Yeah, I don't know if that's going to get it done.
Well, then, do you want to go higher than that?
I'd maybe consider up to 10, somewhere in that range. I mean, that's a heavy price. I hear you.
Woo! 10 for 10 games, 9 games, 10 games on Thursday.
Yeah, I guess it's too early to go there, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It is. For a guy that they didn't even evaluate as an all-ball linebacker. How
about a 3-year, $27 million deal? I like that. Right around 9. Give him $20 million guaranteed.
Well, and then the Eagles have never gone there. Now I'm using partially inflation when you look at not signing TJ Edwards. Although, again, maybe he wanted to go to Chicago. Maybe that factored into it. Never gotten a full declarative explanation about that, but the history of this team is they don't overspend at linebacker. And I talked about it with running back and they did it at running back. They've always had outliers at running back. Just because you don't believe it or you don't know them, they've always had outliers at running back. I'm not talking about you when I say that.
No, yeah, I know what you're saying. Yep.
I've never heard them. It's not that I've never heard an outlier linebacker for this current modern Eagles organization. I've never heard about that player. And usually it trickles down and you hear about these players that they wanted. Never heard it. So we'll see how it shakes out.
Some of the
he's going to get paid somewhere.
Some of the chat think he'd take the $7 million, but I think that's where the agent comes in and is like, Zach, I know you like this, but I'm easily getting you $10 million a year in the open market, maybe 12 if we get a buyer. And there's a lot of dumb GMs out there that might take the bait and give you.
And there's always, AJ, Devontae, they took way less money than they could have gotten if they really wanted to go down the road that they could have gone down. Way less money. So, don't underestimate the gratefulness that he has for this organization. But again, everybody's different. And if he wants just the most money, he's probably going to bet on himself.
Yep, we'll see what he ends up doing there. I'm very encouraged by the play of Zack Baun. He is playing well, and I think Nakobe Dean's playing well too. I think it'd be valuable to keep those guys together for another year. Get some continuity at the linebacker position, Howie. We'll see what ends up happening there. John, we'll get to a couple super chats. We got Jeff Kerr coming up in about 3 or 4 minutes, so looking forward to talking to Jeff, and then we'll have Chris Franklin in hour number 2.
By the way, real quick, you know what the best thing about Zack Baun is?
What's that?
Best thing. Nobody talks about Devin White anymore.
That's true.
And I've yet to get the apology. I never get the apology, Zander.
Well, John,
I get all the yelling and all the angry emails and all the "you're an idiot." Never get the apologies.
John, I'll give you the apology. Well, I won't give you the apology because I don't need to. Because I was.
No, you don't need to.
I was prepared for the Devin White shenanigans because of you. And it played out exactly as really you expected it to play out. And Devin White no longer with the Eagles. Now Zack Baun playing like an all-pro or a Pro Bowler, at least right now, Let's get to a couple super chats here. Appreciate everybody in the chat. I mentioned at the top of the show, for those just checking in, it is Veterans Day, and we thank, we support, and we appreciate all of our veterans here at JAKIB Sports. So thank you guys for the support and for servicing our nation, for watching over us. We appreciate that. Brian Garner checks in. Brian, thank you, man. Appreciate it. $20 super chat here. He says, commentators are not helping fans understand the game. The Steelers game yesterday, Charles Davis said he wouldn't have gone for the fake punt. WTF are you talking about? The player dropped
wide open. He was wide open. It was a brilliant call.
It was.
If you want to call it a call. All you're doing is taking advantage of the situation. They didn't cover the gunner.
Right. They didn't even line up with a fake punt call, right? They saw the gunner was open.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
They checked it. Yeah.
That's what you do. That's what you're supposed to do. And the player, again, it's not just Philadelphia. If the player doesn't execute, that doesn't mean it's a bad call by the coach. I mean, my God, that's a gift. Yeah, I don't.
That's a Brian Garner. That's a Johnny Mac super chat early on a Monday, my man. Calling out blaming the player, not the play call.
He dropped the ball. He dropped it. It was wide. Yeah. Bad call by the come on.
Yeah, well, to Brian's point, that's what the commentator on the game said that. Now you have millions of people who watch that, listen to it, and think it's a bad call. I think that's what Brian's getting at, that they're not elevating the conversation like you always
Well, they were really backed up, and you say, you can't do that. You can't do that. And they'll say, because that can happen. All right, yeah. You can also, again, aggressive teams win. Good teams win. Good teams have confidence in themselves. If you want to go tell your players, I don't have confidence in you to catch a simple throw where nobody's near you, what are you saying? What kind of message is that?
Good stuff, Brian. Thank you, brother. A couple more super chats we'll get to. Saquad says, this defense made 5-1 Cooper Rush look like he didn't belong in the league. The point is, we're seeing major growth with Vic, and winning is contagious. Johnny Mac, Saquad's feeling good after the win. You want to bring him back to earth? What's your response?
No, winning is a habit. Dennis Green told me that. First guy, well, he's not the first guy, but he's the first guy who told me when I was younger, winning is a habit, losing is a habit. And he used to try to win preseason games when preseason games mattered. I always thought that was interesting. And he came and took over a bad team at the time. And sure enough, they started making the playoffs every year. And it always stuck with me. Winning is a habit. Losing is a habit. And right now, the Eagles are kind of feeling themselves, and it's a good thing. And confidence is huge in this league. Yeah, I agree. I've always agreed with that.
Yep. Good stuff, Saquads. Appreciate it, brother. Trucker Beans checks in. Does Vic's defense force tight window throws, Johnny Mac?
Sometimes when they're giving up the underneath stuff, nobody's happy about the windows.
Yeah.
I mean, they took advantage of a situation. I wouldn't get too hyped up about. And the commenter before said 5-1 Cooper Rush. Cooper Rush won some games as a game manager when he was with a very good team. Yesterday, he didn't have a very good team.
Yeah.
Was forced to make plays on his own. Can't do it. But we've already been through early in the season when they're giving up all the underneath stuff. Everybody's losing their mind. It kind of depends when they're cooking and rolling downhill against a bad quarterback. Yeah, but again, that necessarily doesn't translate. The whole design of the defense is to limit explosive plays. So you're going to give up some underneath stuff against good quarterbacks.
Yep, no doubt about it. We'll get to our first commercial break here. And one thing I want to talk about that we will talk about, I'm sure we'll bring it up with Jeff Kerr, is that Lions game last night. We got to talk about that, everybody. So we will do that when Jeff Kerr gets in here. We are up to 57 likes and over 400 in the chat already. Let's smash that like button for Birds 365 this morning, everybody.
Oh, if the Eagles lose, we'd have like twice the audience. Everybody's satiated with a big game coming up on Thursday.
You're big audience, John, that people love Negadelphia. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yes, it would be double. It would be double the audience. Boy, I miss Anklegate.
We'll get there. We'll get there. Hey, look, up to 65 already. Thanks, everybody in the chat. Hit that like button. Let's get to at least 100. for Johnny Mac. We got to shut Johnny Mac up. He's calling us Negadelphia. Can we get to 100 likes before we get out of the break? Jeff Kerr coming up next. Before I get to our commercial break, let me tell you guys about the great people at BetUS. I'll put the promo code on the screen now. You can see it up there. It's YouTube 150. It gives you 150% sign-up bonus on your very first deposit, and you get 125% on your second and third deposit. So big shout out to BetUS. Go check them out at betus.com.pa. That's betus.com.pa. They're the fastest payouts in the industry, 24/7 customer support, and they'll even give you your own custom account manager to make your bets. So go check out BetUS, and a big thanks to them for sponsoring the 2-hour show today. We'll be back in 3 minutes with Jeff Kerr on the other side.
If you missed any of today's show on the JAKIB Media channel, listen to the podcast on your way home. Available on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify.
He's blocked well and tries to cut through the middle. Oh!
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on Sports Grid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on Sports Grid. Score and save in Southeastern PA and Delaware with Colony Pools this football season, and let the experts close your pool with a custom Merlin safety cover in green for the birds. And if you join our Winter Watch team, we'll give you another 20% off, and Colony Pools will handle it all. Keep your tiles on your pool, not in your pool. Fly with Colony right now, Birds fans. Visit flywithcolony.com.
Hi everybody, my name's Jason Lombardi. I'm an inspector at DryTech. At DryTech we offer 3 major services, the first one being basement waterproofing. The second service we offer is foundation and structural repairs. And then the third service that we offer is mold remediation. If you feel you are having a waterproofing issue, give DryTech a call or check us out online.
Heading down the shore, have a ball once more.
Here, imaginations run wild and time stands still. Because here, you can find the best of the Jersey Shore, all on one 5-mile island. So leave the old you behind and get lost in the woods.
Wild, wild, wild wood day.
Plan your stay in the Wildwoods today.
EAGLES, Eagles.
Welcome back in, everybody, to the Birds 365, the #1 morning show on YouTube, as Keith Johnson says in the chat. We appreciate you guys. We're here every single weekday, Monday to Friday, 8 to 10 a.m., and we're here to recap Eagles versus Cowboys. A big win. Joined now by Jeff Kerr from CBS Sports. Make sure you guys follow Jeff at Jeff Kerr CBS. Jeff, great to see you on another Overreaction Monday. How you doing, brother?
There's some overreactions going on, Zander. I had to actually lay down the hammer to a couple higher ups.
All right, lay it down.
The Jeff Kerr hammer coming in, baby.
Last night during the second quarter of the Lions-Texans game, that was the game I had to do last night. Oh, the main takeaway from this game is, can you win a championship with Jared Goff? And I'm like, I guess nobody can play bad in a 17-game season. No one can play bad. I said, by the way, I think the Lions are going to come back and win. Oh, no, they're not. He's playing terrible. I'm like, oh, the Texans aren't that great either. Yeah. Guess who came back and won last night?
Yeah, that was a great game last night, Jeff. And I didn't catch all of it. I was doing the show on JAKIB, and I got off at, maybe midway through the third quarter, and I look up, and I'm like, 5 interceptions? Holy shit. And
he didn't play well.
Yeah.
No, he didn't play well. But to your point, the Texans didn't capitalize on 5 picks at all. I mean, they were winning by 10 after 5 interceptions. I'm like, that's not very good.
Yeah,
And
what
you know,
kind of scares me about that? The last team that didn't give a shit about throwing interceptions was the greatest show on turf, Rams. And they don't seem to care because they know they're going to come back. That's a little bit frightening.
I thought they played their worst game
Oh, yeah.
in the Dan Campbell era, like ever. And
Well, now, I mean, they started 0-7.
Yeah,
they
but
were
still,
bad.
like even though those teams though, like, and they still won. That's what's incredible about the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt. Jeff, we'll talk a little more about that game. I want to get your takeaway on the Eagles.
Panay Sewell for MVP. Sorry.
He is good, man. Holy shoot, that guy can move, man, for an offensive
How many
line.
votes you think you'll get for Panay Sewell for MVP?
Zero.
No, zero. Jeff, what do you think the Eagles
I want to see. I want to see an offensive lineman get some love. Sorry to interrupt you. Go ahead.
You're good. You're good. I don't think it's going to happen, but he's
No,
a good
it's
player.
not. It's
Jeff, 34-6, though. Birds absolutely destroy the Dallas Cowboys. The Cooper Rush led Dallas Cowboys. Your overall takeaways from what the Eagles were able to do yesterday in Arlington?
Good team beats bad team. That's my takeaway from it. The Eagles are a good team. The Cowboys are a bad team. They are, I'm not going to say, I'll say they're a shit show. Let's just put it that way. I was going to add another word into that, but I think you guys get the hint there. When you got your star defensive player pretty much calling out his head coach, you got your star wide receiver, by the way, you paid a lot of money to, ask him to put curtains because he dropped the touchdown pass because of the sun, and Jerry flips out like he does. That honestly was more enjoyable to me than the actual
great.
football game.
Yeah, Jerry was my favorite part.
I mean, the football game itself was terrible.
Oh, did CD? I didn't know who asked about the curtains. Was that CD?
It was CD because they asked him about the dropped touchdown pass, and
Awesome.
CD just basically went off and said, "Look, I'm begging him, like, put him up," and he won't do it.
CeeDee Lamb gets paid what, $36 million from Jerry, and he's calling for a little bit more. I need some curtains, Jerry.
This is how I took it. Only Jerry Jones finds a way to hurt his football team.
Yeah, he'll sound off on him too.
Classiest place ever. The reports of the spread, again, the best in the business. I will defend that place is awesome. I don't care about curtains.
Yeah, I've been there. It's an unbelievable stadium, no doubt. I actually watched Jalen Hurts' first ever college game in that stadium. They took on USC. That was my first college game I attended. We drove to Dallas from Alabama. And Jalen wasn't supposed to play that game. And he played, and he beat the USC Trojans 52-6 in his first game as a freshman. Great memory.
Wasn't Nick Saban like flip-flopping on who his quarterback was or what it announced it? And
Blake Barnett. It was supposed to be Blake Barnett, and at that time,
Barnett.
He had never played a freshman quarterback, so nobody expected Jalen to play. And boom, they trotted him out there, and he had a good game, man. That's a great memory though of AT&T Stadium I have. So it is a nice place though, John. To your point,
I saw Penn State destroy Memphis in the Cotton Bowl at Jerry World, so that was fun.
There you go.
That was a storied Cotton Bowl.
It was a game where you just wanted to go and see Jerry World. That was about it. And like these Memphis fans were trying to talk trash. I'm like, okay. Kenny Gainwell was on that Memphis team, by the way.
Yeah, Kenny was a good college player. But yeah, Memphis does not belong with Penn State. But I'm not going to criticize your beloved institution.
It'd be another B-level school on Saturday, John.
That's true. Up and down. What, Washington, right?
Yeah. They made a quarterback change, and let's just
they destroyed them. Yeah. That's funny. Florida State, that's unbelievable, that collapse. To go from 13-0 to I think they're 1-9 or 1-10.
What was the final? I know Notre Dame
was like 56-3 or something. What is going on? How do you go from 13-0? A lot of people saying they should be the national champions before the injury and whatever, to 1-9? How is that even possible?
I guess the transfer portal really took an effect on them, but a lot of those guys are back.
Yeah. And they seem talented. I was watching a little bit of that game. I was watching a little bit of Georgia Ole Miss. And I'm going to bring this into the Eagles people, but I mean, what are we going to talk about with the Eagles? But there were two instances that I took from the game. In Georgia Ole Miss, you know, they had the ball at like the 6-yard line. They thought they were going to be in man, but they backed out in the zone. They dumped it off to the back. It was a man beater. And I was thinking Tom Brady. This is exactly what he's talking about. Quarterback, young quarterback, college quarterback, has no idea what's going on, plays over before it even begins because he doesn't recognize the defense there's in. So that's very important. And then with Notre Dame, Florida State, Notre Dame's quarterback, who's a good runner, but he's not that great of a passer. He's got it wide open, wide open, doesn't take the read as it's progressed, looking for other stuff. And his coach is yelling at him on the sidelines. He's like, "What are you doing? What are you doing? Take it. It's there." And I bring it to Jalen Hurts. The one nitpick, Jeff Kerr. And I just went to a next gen stats. Time to throw in the National Football League. Jalen Hurts is now dead last.
He takes a long time to throw, to process information. Let's just put it that way.
Are you concerned at all? Not against bad teams like Dallas, but against good teams down the road.
I'm concerned, but I also, at the same time, it's hard for me to criticize a guy who's third in the league in completion percentage, fifth in the league in passer rating. If you look at the raw passing stats numbers, and I'm even going to go with the air yards too, he's a top 5 quarterback this year and passing, if you're going by that. But I am concerned about how long it's taken him to throw the ball. He's not turning the ball over. He did twice on Sunday, but overall he hasn't over the last couple of weeks. But where my concern is, when you're facing a good defense, is this going to bite him? We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, how much of it do you guys put in there? And I'll ask both of you this. I think there's a gray area maybe that, at least that's how I see it, where, the average quarterback, you probably want them to release the ball 2.7, somewhere in that range. That's the number we kind of use here on Birds 365. Then you have your play action quarterbacks that tend to be a little over 3. John mentions them all the time with, Brock Purdy. Jalen's a playmaker. Jalen is, when the play breaks down, he's known for making great plays.
He made a lot of great plays.
Yes, he did. And how much of that do you put on that, where it's like, okay, he's holding the ball a little bit longer, which is it's a problem in moments, but there's also moments that come from that you'd never have with other quarterbacks that are him making great plays down the field.
That's where the whole time to throw thing can be skewed. And I'll go back to Thursday night.
Yeah.
You guys saw the Lamar Jackson run, right?
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Guess who's number 2 in the NFL?
Yeah. And he's the overwhelming favorite for MVP in this league.
Best player in the world. I dubbed him.
Yeah. I mean, on the play where he had 10-yard run, he had the ball for 27 seconds. So
I try to put this context every time I bring it up. Jalen's never going to be where
quick throw
Tua leads the league and getting out the ball quickly. He's never going to be near somebody like Tua, who to be honest is too quick. To be honest, if he doesn't get his first read, he's probably going to do something dumb. So there's always a margin, but we have a large sample size with Jalen Hurts, and the reason we use 2.7, I use 2.78. I use it for a reason, because Jalen Hurts in 2021 was over 3. In 2023 is over 3. In 2024, he's at 3.11 now, last in the NFL. And when they went to the Super Bowl in 2022, he was 2.78, middle of the pack. I think there's something to that. There's something to it.
That's a good outlier there. 2022, it's the year they go to the Super Bowl. But look, I feel like a lot of people have been asking this nationally. And John, you've heard this. Zander, you've heard this. Is Jalen Hurts winning because of what's around him, or is Jalen Hurts winning because he's good? Like, really good?
Both.
Yeah, I think it's both. Yeah.
I agree.
Everybody likes to vacuum everything, and you're like, well, why can't it be both? Why can't the quarterback be good? Top 5 passer in the league if you're looking at the raw numbers, or why can't he be good because he has AJ Brown, because he has Devonta Smith? I'll tell you what, I bet Cooper Rush wishes he had those two players yesterday.
Well,
it might not have helped.
Yeah, Cooper Rush, last time he played, won 4 or 5 starts because he was playing with a good team. You saw him with a bad team.
He was playing a really good defense.
Yeah, that to me is one of the dumbest arguments. You hear it about every quarterback. Let's go, most people, I believe Lamar Jackson's the best player in football, but most people are going to say Patrick Mahomes. Well, Patrick Mahomes, and there's nothing wrong with that claim, obviously, with his history and his longevity at this point. But that ain't the same offense right now because he doesn't have the same playmakers he's had in the past. They win a different way. And his numbers are not overwhelming, but they find ways to win. And that speaks highly to Patrick Mahomes.
The most of the stats of Patrick Mahomes, he has by far the most impressive one with his record when he's trailing by 10 plus points in a football game. He's the only quarterback ever that's over 500. And they're like, well, it's because I'm like, it wasn't always because of the defense.
Yeah, that's
part of. I mean, that has gone from a team that was the most explosive team in the NFL to a team that you could argue now is more defensively minded than offensively minded,
and they're winning ugly as a result. But they're winning.
Exactly, because of the personnel. So it affects
God like the Chiefs though right now. Did you guys see the end of that game?
Yeah.
Leo Chanel, again, really good football player, just blew by his man, and I thought the Chiefs were going to lose their first game yesterday. I was ready to write my overreactions. All right, the Broncos are a playoff team. Book it, and nope, I had to toss that one.
Toss it out, Jeff. Save it for another column, another week.
They're still in the 7th seed in the AFC, even with the loot.
Yeah, they're playing good. I got to give it. They deserve some credit, the Broncos, and what they've been able to do with Bo Nix. I wasn't ready for that.
The AFC stinks, by the way. It's not
all of a sudden,
not deep at all. Well, the top teams are good, obviously, but
the top teams are good.
Not deep at all. The NFC is much deeper.
There's a lot of shitty football being played in the NFL this year.
There always is. People just don't want to recognize. You know why? This is why I get so upset. They're like, well, the NFL, their ratings are high, and they're this and that. It's good product. I'm like, no, it's not. You people give
terrible.
Way too much love for that shit fantasy football and that shit betting. I'm sorry.
You know what the secret to the NFL is? The one score games where Scott Hansen's at the end of whatever the hell that's called.
Red Zone.
Red Zone. Thank you. He calls it the witching hour, whatever, and you got all these games changing. Like, how many times have we been writing something, Jeff, and gets blown up by a blocked field goal at the end of the game? It's exciting to people. And they don't realize that they watched 55 minutes of Drek to get to that excitement.
John, you and I watched about 60 minutes of Drek yesterday.
Yeah, and when you get a game like you got yesterday, I get it. It's exciting for Eagles fans, great for Eagles fans. Boy, that was a tough watch, man, for me to watch that. That was ugly, ugly football. And the first half, both teams, ugly, ugly football.
They were so bored during that football game, they had to show Cooper DeJean basketball highlights.
Yeah, which more people should watch because for some reason, they don't think he's athletic. By the way, fastest guy on the field yesterday on his punt return.
That was more exciting than the actual football game. Watching Cooper DeJean's basketball highlights for like the 100th time.
Yeah.
He's a good player, though, man. How he did good on the draft this year. So at least it looks like it right now. Those top 2 picks are really playing good football. I mean, Jeff, I think you put out a stat this morning about Quinyon Mitchell and just how good he's been. I mean, he's playing like a top whatever you want to call it in the league at corner. What, top 10, top 5, top 8?
I'm going to be that guy here. If Sean Desai was the Eagles defensive coordinator, those two would not be as good as they are. Not even close.
That's a given.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to give you a tough question. Understanding outside corner is far more important than slot corner. So take that out of it. Just who's better at their position, Quinyon Mitchell or Cooper DeJean?
Can I go Cooper because of the value he's brought to this
Cooper.
team?
Cooper's been unfreaking believable.
I mean,
unfreaking believable.
I mean, there were talks before the draft, before everything played out, that hey, this Cooper DeJean kid might be the best corner in the draft. And people are like, no, there's no way. And I'm like, well, I watched him play at Iowa. I knew how good of a player he was. He was multi-factor. I thought the guy was going to be an all-pro safety when he was drafted. I thought the Eagles put him at safety. He'd be an all-pro right away. They decided to put him in the slot. I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm okay with that. And look what he's done. It's John, the stat I looked up yesterday, he allowed 3 catches for 4 yards. Come on.
He's all over people, too.
Yeah, he is.
I mean, the Eagles' defense was like mediocre before he was back. They're a top 2 defense since he's here.
Yeah. And we'll see. The schedule has been light, and we'll see as it toughens up.
Not their fault.
I don't know. It's not their fault at all. I don't project Cooper DeJean to fall apart. I don't project Quinyon Mitchell to fall apart either. They're both been great. But if I had to pick one, I got to go Cooper.
I think I'm going Mitchell.
I got to go Cooper.
I think Mitchell has harder matchups, though, right?
Well, I said
playing a slot's really tough because you're getting the team's best route runner.
Well, I mean, from the NFL's perspective, outside corner is more important than inside corner.
Yeah, but even taking that out, I mean, I'm not talking about what's more important. Obviously, outside's more important, but doesn't the matchup,
Well, that's one of the reasons why. Because
I guess that's true.
But
I guess it's all one.
Both positions, both these players have filled glaring needs in this defense from last year.
All right, guys, I got a question for both of you, and you guys can tell me. You can tell me I'm a crazy Eagle colored glasses fan here. I think the Eagles could be potentially the best team in the NFC right now, the way they've been playing.
I don't think you're too rosy colored glasses on that, Zander. I mean,
I got them right now. I got them at number 2. So
yeah, and well, that's where they're ranked in the standings right now, number 2.
Yeah.
And if you look at, I know the Lions won last night. I know I'm pretty high on the Lions here, but if you're based off Week 10, the way I saw things at Week 10, the Eagles look like a better football team. They didn't play a better football team than the Lions did, but the Eagles look like a better football team than the Lions.
The reason I said what I said, and John, I'll let you answer in a second, is I think the Eagles can beat you in more ways. Like Detroit, my problem.
That I disagree with.
That I disagree with.
Well,
too.
no, my problem with Detroit is if you get
Right.
ahead of Detroit and you take away their run game,
They did that yesterday.
Jared Goff struggles when he's not in play action.
You mean
literally did that
yesterday? They
Well,
took away the
Literally
run game
did that. They're
when they were down
by double
23-13, Detroit ran the ball to get back in the game. They ran the ball with Jahmyr Gibbs all the way down the field on the drive to take the lead. I watched it.
Yeah, well, I watched the entire game as well. They did not even run the ball effectively in that game overall. It was probably their worst rushing performance of the year. D'Amico Ryans deserves a lot of credit. I was rooting for
me personally.
Full disclosure.
This is how I viewed the game yesterday. I think the Texans' game plan was, and credit to D'Amico Ryans for this, let's take away Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Yeah,
and they did early.
Exactly. That's the one problem I have with Detroit. When you take away St. Brown, Williams hasn't gotten to the point where.
No, he hasn't.
I thought he was going to be a star. He hasn't gotten to that point.
Well,
he made a couple catches. He made a couple decent, but he hasn't been that guy. And he keeps getting in trouble all the time. He seems like a moron. And then Sam Laporta got hurt again, so that affected them. But Gibbs averaged 3.7 yards a carry. Montgomery averaged 2.7 yards a carry. They only ran it for 105 yards in the entire game. Yeah, Jared Goff, that's what scares me. Like, when you throw 5 interceptions, you should be blown out of the building.
Quarterbacks are 3 and 188 since 1970. I mean, since 2000, throwing 5 interceptions.
Wait, what was it? What was that, Jeff? What's the record?
Quarterbacks are 3 and 1, or that team is 3 and 188 when they're quarterbacks since 2000 when the quarterback
3 and 188.
I guess you has one of those wins.
And by the way, I think we all felt the same way. Detroit's going to win this game. That's scary.
Jeff, what was it? 3 and 188 when what? When the quarterback throws how many interceptions?
When the quarterback throws 5 interceptions in the game since 2000.
So that's happened. That's happened a lot, huh?
3 and 180. Tony Romo did it in 2007. And Matt Ryan.
Yeah, it can't be 188 since 2000. Really, that many?
Apparently we've had that many 5 interception games. I was kind of stunned by it too.
Is Nate Peterman half of those?
It might be. What about Carson Wentz?
Holy shit! Is that right, Jeff? 188.
According to our CBS Sports research team, and again, keep in mind it's also 8:53 in the morning. I was up till
I gotta read.
I gotta look that up.
We'll figure out.
The stat doesn't matter. When you throw 5 interceptions, you should be blown out of the building.
Yes,
and I felt that entire time Detroit's going to freaking win this game. I don't know why I felt that way. It was really when CJ Stroud, by the way, threw it late. He had a touchdown to, I forget the receiver, on a corner route. And Carlton Davis, I believe, raced over because he.
I'm way off, by the way. It's 3 and 58. Yeah, see.
That was.
That makes.
I was gonna say when you guys said that, I'm like,
timeline. That was not a big.
That was way too many.
Yeah.
But either way, you should lose. And so the Carlton Davis, I guess it was a second interception. That's when I said they're going to win this game. Yeah, they can beat you every which way. That's what scares me about that team. Jared Goff was player of the month. Yeah, it's Jared Goff. No, again, when we talk about supporting cast, you've seen Jared Goff with bad supporting cast. He's not going to be Lamar Jackson. Nobody's saying that. But when that team can beat you running the football, throwing the football. They can beat you defensively. They completely shut down Houston in the second half.
They have the best
McNeil
in the NFL.
I always say Tom Donahue's sitting there somewhere. Nothing against Milton Williams, but that guy's turned into a monster. DJ Reader. They had Aiden Hutchinson. I wouldn't even consider anybody else if he didn't get hurt. That's the only reason
Aiden Hutchinson is still third in the NFL in sacks. And he hasn't played in weeks.
I literally wouldn't even consider any other team if he didn't get hurt. That the only reason I do is because people are involved. Brian Branch is a hell of a player. Terrion Arnold, by the way, should have got that. That was a PI.
That was a major PI.
They screwed Houston. But he's a good.
By the way, I don't think the guy was going to catch it anyway. But it was still a major PI.
Can we question D'Amico Ryans here for kicking that field goal? I thought he should have went for it.
I know 11 50-yard field goals.
Okay, but the Lions are still going to get the ball back.
Well, yeah, but I mean, at that point, what are you going to do? It was fourth and quite a bit, wasn't it?
But again, this is where it goes back to the penalty too.
I think it was 4th and 4.
It was 4th and 4.
4th and 4. Yeah.
I didn't like the sequence.
I mean, if it wasn't
run, throw. I hate 2 runs in the pass. I hate it.
4th and 4, you can debate it, I guess, but the guys made 11 50-yard field. And by the way, it was a bad snap. Again, everything comes down to execution.
Yeah,
I guarantee he banks that through.
I thought he was going to make it, and then I saw the play. I'm like, okay, bad snap. I didn't like the decision beforehand, though. That's just me.
And then Bates kicks 250, just barely inside both times.
Yeah,
that guy was what? What was he? A brick? What was he like?
He was a bricklayer or something.
Yeah,
then
he
was in the UFL making record field goals.
Did you hear what he told his? I guess I don't know if she's his wife yet. It might be his fiance, but like he told her he was giving up football, and like 3 weeks later he got a call from like a UFL team.
These guys. The other kid from the XFL, it was 4 for 4. Parker Romo. Yeah. He was the all XFL kicker in their last year. So Will Reichard, Zander's favorite kicker from Alabama, he got hurt, and they bring in Parker Romo, who makes 4 for 4. He's going to be the NFC watch. They always do that. Remember when Cameron Dicker came in and won a game for the Eagles, and he won NFC Special Teams Player of the Week? I guarantee you, Parker Romo.
You know, that's my running joke about Cameron Dicker. I'm like, there was a week.
Dicker the kicker.
Yeah. There was a week in the NFL where the Eagles might have had 2 of the best kickers in 2024 on their football team.
Yeah, he's a damn good kicker. He's turned out to be obviously a very good kicker. So, yeah. The Eagles.
That's a long way to tell me that neither of you guys think the Eagles are better than the Lions.
No.
Yet. I think they're getting close.
Not yet, but it's getting close. No, I agree with you there. It's a lot closer than what I would have said going into yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, Andrew Brandt put out a tweet yesterday that was just classic. He's like, I think everybody thinks the Eagles are Super Bowl contenders except for the Eagles fans.
Well, that's it. I do think the Eagles are a Super Bowl contender.
Yeah.
But right now, I mean, you're asking me right now, who do I think is better? I think Detroit's better, but they're number 2. I mean,
if we had to rank 5 teams,
good.
If we had to pick 5 right now that are Super Bowl contenders, the Eagles are on that list.
Yeah. I can't even.
Who is that list? Would it be Detroit, Philly, or from the NFC? I think those are the
Detroit,
clear 2.
The Eagles, the Ravens, the Bills, the Chiefs.
Those
would be the 5 I would go with.
I would go 4. 5. I'm cutting the Bills. I don't believe in the Bills. I know they're playing well.
We're gonna find out how good they are Sunday.
I know they're playing well. I'm not saying they're a bad team by any stretch. I just don't believe in them as a true Super Bowl contender. I just think they're too weak at wide receiver. Matt Collins just making plays again. God bless him. But come on.
Right.
I mean,
I'll give him credit though for what was supposed to be a down year, a rebuilding year.
Oh, well, part of it is let's be honest, it's the AFC East as well. I mean, that's.
Hey, anybody else enjoy that John McGinn and butt whooping on Aaron Rodgers yesterday?
No, Eagles
I didn't
fans,
see it at all.
They don't like JG. But
JG's coach of the year.
Good job, man. He's doing a good job.
Oh, by the way, John, I had to go on a tirade before I got on here. Your boy Dan Orlowski saying Mike Tomlin's coach of the year, and there's no band like it. I guess you don't watch the Cardinals.
Well, Mike's up there, but Mike's always
got to be up there too. No,
well, he is.
That's one of those things where, Andy Reid never wins coach of the year because everybody expects him to win. Bill Belichick all those years.
What about Nick Sirianni for coach of the year?
Oh, come on. That's the worst coach in football.
Yeah. Eagles fans hate their own head coach who's 41-19. Eagles fans hate winning.
41-19, and people talk about firing this guy after every loss.
It's Nick Sirianni's fault. It's all his fault.
Sirianni, baby.
41.
I saw a stat yesterday. He's climbing the leaderboard on win percentage. I'm like, that could change at any moment, but
it's going to be pretty good for a while.
There's only 2 head coaches that have a better win percentage than Nick Sirianni since he's entered the league. You guys know who they are?
Matt LaFleur.
No.
So I thought he was second to Matt.
No, because Matt had since he entered the league or 2020, it might be 22.
Since 2021. Since 2021, Sirianni's second to Matt LaFleur.
Yeah. Then that one's LaFleur. But 22, like I said, I'm getting my years mixed up here. 22, it's Reid and McDermott.
Yeah, pretty good company, but he sucks.
He sucks. Sean McDermott sucks. I think the only coach that gets universally praised these days is Andy Reid.
Well, he deserves it. Well, I think it's a fair question that people ask. I mean, Jeff, you asked it a little bit earlier about Jalen Hurts. A lot of people look at the roster. They look at the Philadelphia Eagles and everything that Howie's done.
But they never want to blame the players when they lose.
No, I know, John. I'm just saying the point is out there that, is Nick winning because he's a great coach, or is Nick winning because he's got the best roster, or one of the best rosters in football? I think that's out there. I'm not saying I subscribe to it.
Oh, it is out there. I'm not denying it's out there. I'm just saying it's stupid. You can't win.
They play for him. You think the Cowboys are playing for Super Bowl champion head coach Mike McCarthy right now? I don't. And they stink.
You've already seen it with coaches who have been around for a very long time because football is cyclical. Andy Reid has had bad seasons, not many, but he's had bad seasons.
2012 was his last bad season.
Bill Belichick has had bad seasons. Everybody, you can't win without talent. If you have 5 win talent, a good coach is going to get you maybe 7 or 8. That's coaching. You make them a little bit better. Or bad coaching is you make them a little bit
or
worse.
you change the entire philosophy of your football team, like Jim Harbaugh. Sorry.
I mean, the people put way too much on the coaches as far as being able to make chicken shit out of chicken salad, or vice versa. Whatever I'm trying, you get what I'm trying.
I knew what you meant.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Micah, Keith Johnson in the chat brings up, I heard Micah Parsons after the game. He's like, he's ready to get Mike McCarthy out of there now. He's like done with Mike McCarthy. That was
my favorite thing with Eagles fans right now. Again, this is one of the reasons why I do enjoy Eagles fans. Everything Micah Parsons says, they're like, boy, does this guy want to be an Eagle in the worst way. It is funny.
It is funny.
And by the way, but they all so many times Zander tells me he's not a good player.
I didn't have John. That is ridiculous of you to say. I have never said that. I have never uttered those words. I said not generational.
So many Eagles fans. I'm just picking on you. I get it from all you. Oh, you overrate him. You'd love him the minute he stepped into town.
Yeah,
you would go
just like a certain other Penn State football player that now plays.
And by the way, and I think Jeff is going to be honest here. Jeff is Mr. Penn State. The best Penn State alumni in the NFL is Micah Parsons.
Yes. Generational.
Yeah. And by the way, to the Mike McCarthy point, if you think Mike McCarthy is a bad coach, that's fine. He won 36 games over the past 3 years.
Yeah. With a lot of talent. Yeah, good coach, good talent, but now he doesn't have that.
Hey, don't blame me for that one. John, did you see those comments after the game? They were kind of scathing.
They were awesome.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, that's what happens when you lose. I mean, the whole thing goes off the rails. It happens everywhere.
Your coach.
I'm telling you, the best thing about the Dallas Cowboys is the stuff that comes after the game. You got a bunch of reporters, Jerry Jones's sheep, and they're just like, Jerry, tell us about your football team.
I know, man.
Yeah,
well, they really are reality show. I always tell John Machota, a friend of the show, covers the Cowboys.
John's a good dude.
He's so lucky, man, to have Jerry Jones talking after every game. As
Can you imagine Jeffrey Lurie talking after every game?
Oh, I'd love it, but it's not going to. Well, actually, I might not love it with Jeffrey because Jeffrey's talks are 45 minutes soliloquies before he opens up to a question.
He's not as entertaining as Jerry is.
Not quite as entertaining.
Jerry is definitely the 81-year-old man that tells you to get off his lawn.
Yeah, he is funny to listen to. We got a couple Cowboys fans in the chat. William Burney says, "We are a complete mess." That's what William Burney are.
John, did you hear my joke about the curtains thing yesterday?
No. I love
the whole
talk.
So the whole CeeDee Lamb curtains thing. I'm like, the only curtains Jerry's putting on is the Cowboys season.
Yeah,
but that would be the biggest get ever for a curtain company. Curtains for AT&T Stadium. That's one big curtain.
I just love when he went on this rant. What should I do? Build a new stadium? I'm like,
if I'm a curtain company in Dallas right now, you got to be ringing the Dallas PR department.
That is the biggest get anywhere. Could you imagine the curtains,
the whole 9 yards?
Yeah.
We can look up when the sun is placed for 14 years ahead of time. Okay, Jerry. Well, obviously your architectural team did not.
That's awesome. But Jerry's actually right in that essence. They won a lot of games there. They don't lose because of the sun.
But they are the first team since 1956 to have a 20-point deficit in 5 straight home games. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. They were so good at home, and then they got destroyed by Green Bay in the playoffs. They haven't won since at home.
They won 17 straight, I think, before that. Something like that. It was a lot.
So we were saying the world knows where the sun is. You get to know that almost a year in advance. Someone asked me about the sun. What about the sun? Where's the moon? Jerry's having an existential crisis.
Jerry's crashing out. Jeff, last couple comments here on the Eagles. The defense is playing really good. I know you haven't had the greatest opponents, but boy, I mean, they have been a really good defense. Zack Baun stepping up in a big way. How much you buying into the Eagles defense right now?
I mean, I've been buying stock in that defense for a couple of weeks, so I don't care.
I buy stock in Vic Fangio.
Yeah. I buy stock in him. That's the guy I want. And look, we could say they haven't played these quality caliber opponents, but then I'll fire back with, well, Joe Burrow and the Bengals offense are having a really good year, and they held them to 17
Yeah,
points on the road.
They lit up Baltimore, but you know how that works.
Well, Baltimore's pass defense is going to cost them a Super Bowl championship.
Yeah, they haven't been great, which is weird because they have so many good players in the secondary. It's
you know
weird.
what the secret to beating good organizations is, John? I think you know the answer to this.
I don't know where you're going.
Take their coaches.
Oh, that.
I mean, Eagles fans know that all too well after watching last year.
Yeah, I mean when you turn it over, but again, Baltimore's a scary team. That game, December, what is it? December 1st in Baltimore. Yeah. Jeff's driving down there. I've already told him because he's the only one who can find the damn.
Apparently, I'm the only one of the Eagles beat writers that actually knows how to get to the parking lot in the city.
It is unbelievable. There's no signs in that city. It is abysmal.
I told John I missed the exit, and he's like, and I still knew how to get there. And John's just like, all right, that's it.
It is abysmal. The city of Baltimore, you're a disgrace. Put up a sign.
No, it's like a big. It's like what is it? At the beginning of Futurama, where there's like a bunch of signs. That's how you get to M&T Bank Stadium.
Jeff knows his way around. Good stuff, Jeff. Thanks for joining today, man. Any final thoughts before you go on the Eagles absolutely destroying the Dallas Cowboys in Jerry's world, first time since 2017, and Saquon's first win against the Cowboys?
I can't believe I just went 45 minutes without saying this, but the Eagles may have won the NFC East this week.
Well, still got 2 games, man.
Well, I know, but I thought Washington needed to beat Pittsburgh yesterday because now there's a ton of pressure on Washington to win on Thursday night.
Yeah, and they drop Thursday night. That's 2 straight. That they're all of a sudden.
I expect the Eagles to win, and I think they're better than Washington, but. Yeah, you always put the
Eagles. I will say this though: the Eagles got a way tougher schedule down the stretch than Washington does. If you see those teams Washington plays, you're going to say, "Okay, this team's going to win 11 games."
Yeah, and Jane Daniels can beat anybody with a hokey play, man.
Yeah. I mean, they do have a win where the Bears haven't scored an offensive touchdown since the Hail Mary.
Yeah, Hail Mary.
I saw Orlovsky do a break. Orlovsky's. I guess he's off Nick Sirianni because they're winning every game now. So
trust me, he'll be on Nick Sirianni Friday morning.
He's taking a shot at the Bears now and their offensive structure, which he's probably right about that one. But
so this is our week 11 slate, by the way. For those of you who are underwhelmed with week 10, and I was, we got Eagles Commanders Thursday, we got Chiefs Bills Sunday, and we got Steelers Ravens Sunday.
And by the way, Thursday night football. Come on.
Let's get rid of it. Let's get rid of it.
Stop it.
It's not guys. There's networks paying hundreds of millions of dollars.
I don't care.
And air them somewhere else.
You got the biggest game of the year in the NFC East to this point.
Flex it out.
And nobody's going to prepare for the fucking game because they don't have time to prepare for the fucking game. And they're just going to roll out the footballs.
John, I had John cracking up last year when I left for the stadium for Thursday Night Football. It was week 2 against it was the Vikings, right? I can't remember.
It was the Vikings week 2 last year.
So I left at 1 and didn't get there till 5. And literally the first thing I said was, I effing hate Thursday Night Football.
Yeah.
You have to deal with these. You have to deal with people who actually work 9 to 5 jobs when you're driving to Thursday Night Football.
Yeah, Barb points out in the chat, I will say Amazon does I know you guys don't care because you guys are at the game, but
Amazon does do a good job. I'm not going to
all of a sudden. I mean, they didn't start too good, but now they're like they have maybe some of the best camera work in the NFL at this point.
A lot of people criticize Al Michaels though however,
yeah,
150
I like
years
Al
old.
I will say this. I think the presentation's amazing. I think the 4K is actually 4K.
Yeah.
It's great as someone who watches it every week. Kelly Hartung gives the best stories of any of the sideline reporters.
I don't even know who that is.
She's the sideline reporter.
Yeah,
And
she's good.
I mean, I love Kirk Herbstreit. I do not like him. The NFL. He's just.
I think he's doing a good job, though. Jeff.
No, he's doing a good job.
I mean, yeah, it's a tough job to be able to have your pulse on both the NFL and college and know everything that he does.
It's a quick turnaround for him.
Yeah.
Like I really do feel though they got to find a long term. Obviously, they do. They got to find a long term replacement for Al Michaels.
I like Myra Gomez. I like her. I don't know if she still does. She used to do Thursday.
She still does that. She still does, I think.
The Spanish feed. I met her at the Super Bowl. Nice girl.
Did you ever see John, did you ever watch their alternate TNF broadcast? NFL Network usually shows them on Fridays.
I have not.
It's like an all 22 view for those all 22 people, and it's like a real time.
Oh, I like that.
It's really cool. Yeah. And it's like and you got Michaels and Herbstreit. Like it's just like the same broadcast. It's just a different way to watch the game.
Yeah. Good stuff. Jeff, we got to run, man. We got Chris Franklin coming up. Great to talk to you on this Monday. Appreciate you doing it, my friend. We'll talk to you next week. All right, man.
Yeah, sounds good. Maybe even Friday.
Oh yeah, maybe even Friday.
Yeah, we got a double. Now I'm booking you if you want to get up that early. That's brutal.
There's nothing like a post game day with Jeff Kerr on Birds 365.
I assume I'm going to be by myself after night games at 8:20 in the morning.
Yeah, I don't blame you on that.
So by the way, one more TNF story from that TNF game last year. There was a big accident on 76 when I was going home. And I swear, like, you know, I feel like I'm going to be sitting in traffic at like 3 a.m. for like 10 hours because, you know, it's 76. It's a gridlock. I literally have a cop come up to me, knock on my door and say, we're on Spring Garden Street. He goes, go up the off ramp. You'll get out of here. And he literally told 3 cars that, and we left, and everybody just followed us. We're like, oh my God, thank you. Like it literally was something I thought I was going to sit in for 4 hours, which ended up being 4 hours. I sat in for 10 minutes.
All right, Philly's finest. All right.
Yeah, Philly's finest. Like I said, I don't say too many bad things about Philly cops. That's one of the reasons.
Yeah, they got a tough gig too.
Yeah,
so,
they do. No doubt about it. Jeff, thanks for joining, man. We'll talk to you soon. All right, brother.
Yep, sounds great. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Jeff.
Great stuff from Jeff Kerr there. John, coming up, we'll get to our commercial break. We got Chris Franklin joining in a little bit. I got a few super chats I want to read. I want to thank everybody for being here. Got a big crowd in here this morning. Hit that like button, everybody. 150 we're up to. So Johnny Mack, you know,
Negadelphia,
looking for the Negadelphia crowd. Well, they're in here. Can we get some likes to shut Johnny Mack up? John, I got a stat for you here before we get to our break, and we'll get to 2 super chats, I think, as well. We got a couple of them I'll read. And this is from Ed Kratz's Twitter. Eagles, and you put it out, I'm sure, too, with the snap counts. Jalix Hunt played 25 snaps, 12 for Bryce Huff. What do you make of it?
Well, I think the more important stat is the first half snaps because of what went on in the second half. They're always a little bit gamey because of the blowout garbage time affecting things. So here's the first half snap counts. Josh Sweat 21, Brandon Graham 15, Jalix Hunt 13, Nolan Smith 11, Bryce Huff 6. So what that tells me is Vic is looking for somebody to seize a bigger role, and Jalix is getting an opportunity. And we'll see what he does with it. But, if there's one thing he's clearly not happy with on the defense, it's the edge rushers after Josh Sweat and Brandon Graham. And that still includes Nolan Smith. But, it's a little bit impacted Bryce Huff specifically, and he got a sack. So hopefully that sparks something in him. A little bit affected by the injury. But it's pretty clear that Vic is just not enamored with him as a player.
It's a major indictment on Bryce Huff. This is now a trend that's going on for 3 or 4 weeks where it's just like he doesn't like him, John.
It seems that way.
I don't even think it's a seam thing anymore. I think it is that way. Until proven otherwise, it is that way. He doesn't play the guy, and he's looking for a guy. He's rotating Jalix Hunt in there for 13 first half snaps.
Yeah, he's looking. And if Jalix starts to show up, he'll play more because they need an impactful, really third and fourth man. I think everybody have kind of said, well, Nolan's fine. Is he? I don't know. I mean, if sacks are the be all end all, he's gotten a couple sacks, but it's more than that. And right now, there are only two edge rushers that they can count on are Josh Sweat and Brandon Graham. And Brandon's 36. So that's an under sort of reported concern, I would think. Maybe the biggest concern for the Eagles as a whole, to be honest, because everybody else is pretty much carrying their water, I would say.
Yeah, agreed. We'll see what happens there. Prince Swayze checks in with a super chat. Let's get to our super chats now. Got 3 of them, and then we'll get to Chris Franklin. Prince says, I love how everyone forgot Q is also playing the slot. He can play both. Stop putting them against each other. I don't think we're putting them against each other.
Putting against each other. He played the slot in training camp. He didn't play the slot in regular season. Stop it. Stop it.
Yes, stop it.
The whole team, the whole time I was telling you he's going to be outside. He's going to be, that's another one. Start with the apology and then start with your complaining. Okay. Well, Isaiah's getting first team reps. How many times did I say Quignon's going to be there? Quignon's going to be there.
Prince, you were shut down by McMullen this morning. Yeah. Good stuff, Johnny Mac. Rashid Mixon checks in, a member chat. Rashid, thanks for being a member, brother. He says, good morning. After 9 weeks of football and seeing what we have on offense and defense, do you believe we are the most complete team in football? Any holes? I'd say we're close, Rashid. Johnny Mac, what say you?
I just talked about one of them. They're a very good team. Every team has holes. Every team. I just talked about one of them at edge rusher. There's some other ones, like the quarterback holding on to the football. They're not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. They played very well. Like I said, a lot of teams, and it's happened to the Eagles in the past, where they should have had an easier go of it. And they haven't, but they're playing very well. But yeah, they have some holes. They're not perfect, and they continue to improve, especially defensively. Offensively, I think everybody knows they have a good offense. Ironically, the defense has been even better, which I think nobody expected. And the one thing, I meant to mention this with Jeff. They haven't lost with AJ.
I know. He tweeted that out this morning, Jeff.
Did he?
Yeah,
they haven't lost with AJ Brown. Keep that in mind, because they don't play well when he's not out there.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I got some defensive stats that just came out as well that are pretty impressive. Man in Black comes in. Appreciate it, man. $5. Appreciate your support. He says CJ GJ is starting to be a zone ball hawk. I've been saying for weeks he's getting active in the backfield. CJ Gardner-Johnson is unlocked. I said it here first. I don't know about that, but
we had a good game yesterday, but he hasn't, he hadn't played well. That by far is his best game.
Looked good against Cooper Rush.
Yeah. He had not played well for most of the season, I would say. See if PFF had it. I would say he'd be close. I don't know. It's kind of early. They might not have their grades up. Oh, they have their preliminary grades up. The best offensive player, shocker, AJ Brown. These are the guys with getting meaningful snaps. Like Johnny Wilson was actually number 1, but he only played 18 snaps. By the way, nice job by Johnny Wilson getting his first touchdown.
Yeah, baby, a little Johnny Wilson showing. That might have been the first time they called his name wasn't for a penalty.
Yeah, he was not. Yeah, he did get a penalty in the game.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. Well, it was on the kickoff.
Right? It was on the kickoff. He got caught. Lane number 2, shocker. Jalen number 3, Saquon number 4, Jahan Dotson number 5. Not great grades on offense. I got a feeling the grades are going to be better on defense. And they are, magically. Guess who number 1 is? Limited snaps.
Not Zack Baun, I guess. He wasn't limited snaps. Who? Jordan Davis?
Bryce Huff.
Oh, God.
It's
Oh,
12
God.
snaps. And 12, which is meaningless. But to his point, hey, right where I had it. C.J. Gardner-Johnson, number 1. Zack Baun, number 2. Zack Baun for the 3rd consecutive week in the blue. That means blue chip plus 90. 3rd consecutive week. Nolan Smith played well in limited reps, according to them. Isaiah Rodgers, good grade. Jordan Davis, limited reps, good grade. Oren Burks, Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, Jalen Carter, Jalix Hunt. There's Jalix. Everybody played well.
No holes defense, baby. The no holes defense.
Is that the Cooper Rush effect? Except Thomas Booker. Oh, my guy, Thomas Booker. Love Thomas Booker. Such a smart guy. He only played 7 reps, though, so it really doesn't matter. You can't get a feel. Yeah. Defensive shutdown performance against Cooper Rush.
Prince didn't like your clap back to him. He said, Zander, I said he can play the slot.
All right. Yeah. Then there comes the move around, the big goalpost changing.
Yeah.
He hasn't played a damn snap in the slot in the regular season.
Prince, I hate to say it to you, brother, but you took an L on this Monday morning, my friend. Appreciate you being here, but Johnny Mac sent you out the pasture. Let's get to our commercial break. We got to get to Chris Franklin coming up next. Looking forward to talking to Chris. Before I do that, let me tell you guys about the great people at BetUS. Go check them out, betus.com.pa. That's betus.com.pa, and use the promo code, which you see on your screen right now, YouTube 150. It gives you 150% sign-up bonus on your very first deposit and 125% on your second and third deposit, all up to $2,000. So go check out BetUS today. They have the fastest pads in the industry, 24/7 customer support, and we appreciate them for sponsoring the 2-hour edition of Birds 365 today. We'll be back in 3 minutes with Chris Franklin on the other side.
If you missed any of today's show on the JAKIB Media channel, listen to the podcast on your way home. Available on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify.
He's blocked well and tries to cut through the middle. Oh!
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on Sports Grid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on Sports Grid.
Score and save at Southeastern PA and Delaware with Colony Pools this football season, and let the experts close your pool with a custom Merlin safety cover in green for the birds. And if you join our Winter Watch team, we'll give you another 20% off, and Colony Pools will handle it all. Keep your tiles on your pool, not in your pool. Fly with Colony right now, Birds fans. Visit flywithcolony.com.
Hi everybody, my name's Jason Lombardi. I'm an inspector at DryTech. At DryTech we offer 3 major services, the first one being basement waterproofing. The second service we offer is foundation and structural repairs. And then the third service that we offer is mold remediation. If you feel you are having a waterproofing issue, give DryTech a call or check us out online.
Heading down the shore, have a ball.
imaginations run wild, and time stands still. Because here, you can find the best of the Jersey Shore, all on one 5-mile island. So leave the old you behind and get lost in the woods. Plan your stay in the Wildwoods today.
EAGLES, Eagles.
Welcome back in, everybody, to a Monday edition of Birds 365 after the Eagles destroy the Dallas Cowboys in Arlington. First win there since 2017 in 7 years. So good to see the Birds get a win. Joined now by Chris Franklin of NJ.com. Make sure you guys follow Chris at C Franklin News. Chris, welcome to the show, man. How you doing on this Monday morning?
Oh, well, it's weird. This liquid stuff came out the sky, and I don't know
Yeah,
where.
how about that? Some rain.
Oh.
Yeah, man. That's,
I'm afraid.
I had it was funny. There was a week there before this drought started, Chris, where it rained like every day. And I'm like, I need a new rain jacket. I'm not making this story up. So I got a nice Tommy Hilfiger rain jacket. I say to my wife, she can double down. I say, it will never rain again because I just bought this thing. I spent like way too much money on this particular jacket. It has not rained since the day I got that thing in the mail.
John, it's you.
It's all my fault.
Oh, come on, man.
It's all my fault. Finally, the rain gods had to acquiesce and gave us a little bit, not a lot, but a little bit. So I'm to blame. I take full blame.
Next time, get a nautical one or something else, man. This is what happened now. You caused the drought, man. Sorry, you can't do that.
It's my fault.
I don't mind the drought. I'm not a rain guy.
I don't like rain either, but I'm like, I was this thing sitting in the closet. I'm like, at some point, I got to bring it out. Evidently, it's not going to happen. But I digress. The Philadelphia Eagles brought out a whooping of the Dallas Cowboys. 6-year droughts ended by the Philadelphia Eagles. See what I did there? Drought ended in emphatic fashion. What do you take from it, Chris? Cooper Rush domination.
About to say this, the things I could take is they're learning and they're beating the teams they should beat that are in positions to do that, because a lot of times we've seen in the past with this team where they have an opponent and they play down to their level as opposed to just obliterating them, and they obliterated the Cowboys yesterday. I also learned that the Cowboys are really, really far behind right now. And for all the naysayers that said Dak was not the answer down there, yeah, Trey Lance don't look like it. Cooper Rush certainly is not. As I learned that. And then also the defense, the way this defense is playing right now, 5 takeaways. And
we may never see Mike Zimmer again, by the way. He's going to be one and done. And at his age, we may never see Mike Zimmer again.
Yeah.
He was picked apart left and right. And in the Eagles defense, the way they were able to get 5 turnovers last, that's funny. The last 2 times, I'm not calling the shot right now. I'm not saying they're going to do it. I'm just saying the last 2 times, coincidentally, they had 5 takeovers in a game in the season, 2022, 2017. They did against the now I'm blanking it out. 22 against the Jacksonville Jaguars, 2017 against the on Christmas night against the Oakland Raiders. Let's say it.
Chris, with an interesting statistic there. We'll see. Chris, how much you putting in? I mean, how much are you buying into this defense? I know we've had some shoddy opponents, but real quick, I'll rattle you off some stats and I'll get your takeaway. The defense through week 10, which is 9 games, 5.5 yards per pass attempt allowed, first in the NFL, 274 yards per game allowed, second in the NFL, 8 touchdowns allowed, tied for third in the NFL, QB rating allowed 78.6, that's fourth in the NFL, and 17.9 points per game allowed, tied for fifth in the NFL. That's pretty damn good stats for the Philadelphia Eagles defense. Are you buying it, Chris, or are you saying the opponents are not good enough yet?
I still look at the quarterbacks that they played, and Joe Burrow among them were the only ones that were really good. I still think this defense is a really good unit. I still think they can really play effectively. We've seen their ability to turn the ball over. It's a matter of consistently doing it when it comes time when they play Lamar Jackson later this season. not Russ. I would have said Russell Wilson, but the way he was just chucking the ball up for everybody to have yesterday, I don't see it for so much on that one. But when it comes time that in the playoffs too, when it comes to, I want to see them consistently do that, and they're definitely on the right track and the right path to being one of those top 10 units. But also, you can't just go, well, they're world beaters. They can beat anybody, because you also got to take into account that the quarterbacks they play. But they're playing in a way where they got enough confidence where when they do come up to face one of these guys, I'm not putting Jay Daniels in it on Thursday night. I'm put basically there. I'll put Lamar when they come up time to play Lamar. Can they be the defense that has? They'll have enough confidence to beat them, I think. But will they be able to do it physically and be able to actually put a game plan together to stop them? So that's a big thing.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that game. I think Lamar right now, I dubbed him the best player in the world, Chris. That is going to be the biggest test of all for this Eagles defense, which has been very good. And one of the linchpins has been Zack Baun, which to me is just this story is unbelievable. I remember I asked Nick at one of the rookie camps, I said, you only got a short window with these tryout players. I always remember his answer, because he said, what do you do? How do you evaluate these guys? And he said, don't miss Adam Thielen, who was a rookie guy back in the day and turned into an all-pro receiver. That was his quote. Don't miss Adam Thielen. Did the whole league miss Adam Thielen? A little bit different, because Zach was a third-round pick, but never played in New Orleans other than special teams, handful of reps here and there. Howie's signing him to be an edge rusher. He's signing him to be Andrew Van Ginkel, hybrid type player. And Vic gets him and says, he looks like an off-ball linebacker. And now he's Ray Lewis. What's going on here?
It's I wish I'd say I had put a finger in it, but yeah, he had the traits. Like when he was at Wisconsin, he was a good linebacker. I mean, and being a Big Ten West before they did the expansion, it'd be tough because you look at the things, you have to stop the Iowa run game and all that other stuff, and he's got a toughness about him, and he's got this, and that's the main thing you need for a linebacker. You just need your toughness. Sure, you need your physical skills of getting out in coverage and going out and making tackle stuff, but you just need to be tough, and that's what he is, not just on the field, but off the field. And I give Vic credit because he's had his hand in helping out a couple of good linebackers as fast as he's something.
Yes, that's his expertise.
Yeah.
But they got this guy for $1.6 million. This was Corey Nelson, Chris. This was Eric Wilson. This was Paul Warlow. This was the next, and maybe if you want to say Kaiser White, this is not even Nigel Bradham, who they gave a decent amount of money to. This was a guy they said, we like him. And he's turned into the best linebacker in football, not named Fred Warner.
Yeah. And that he's certainly not going to make 1.6 million next year. We know that for sure. There's no way he's going to do that. But yeah, his instincts are really good. Vic's trusting him. He's giving him something to be trusted back into. The one thing I love about his game that you don't see as much now with this team so recently as much. He was the one that you could trust him in space. If he's one-on-one against a player in space, he's going to limit that and get the tackle. And how long has it been since we've seen that from a linebacker, off the ball linebacker on this team? It's been. I try to keep going back. It's been. Even Bradham, I didn't trust him in pass coverage. I actually trust more in pass coverage. And a lot of stuff you see there it's a rarity, and you got to be certain that his agent or how he would have you approach the deal of an extension. But if I'm Baun, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna ride this thing out, see what I can get, because I'm just playing myself more money.
The Eagles got to hope he'll take the because they don't want to pay linebackers $10 million, $11 million. And if he continues to play like this, that's where he's gonna be. You think how high do you think they'd go?
Looking at the good thing is that when you look at your secondary, you have a lot of those younger guys on a rookie contract, so you have some room to play with. It's a matter of I think For me, I think it's the highest, maybe 5 or 6, because you're probably gonna have to be
Ooh,
in the market again for another edge rusher because you
that's
haven't
true.
got what you got right yourself. So I don't think as much as Michael Parsons may want to play here, I think there's some other stuff off the field with him that I'm like his antics on the field and on the sideline, some of that I don't know if they'll play well, but
5 or
yeah,
6. I don't think that's getting it done for Zach.
yeah, I think that's, and then you also have Jeremiah Trotter Jr. It's off the ball linebackers, the organization's philosophy thing, and that's what number I'm putting.
Chris is bringing a dose of reality here because that's more Eagles like than anything
Yeah,
else. They'll
I
be
agree.
like, "Oh, we got Trotter. We're not going to go to 7 million for Zack Baun." That would be very Eagles-ish.
I mean, how can he deny the impact this guy's making from playing good linebacker, though?
I think the most somebody's gonna give us might be 8 because it is 1 year. You see the potential, but it also still is just 1 year. So
Yeah.
I think it,
I'm predicting a change from Howie Roseman, and I'll tell you guys why. Vic Fangio is gonna look at Howie and say, "I need a good linebacker, and Zach has been that. Keep me that guy. Get that man under contract, Howie."
Nobody likes Vic more than me. I always have fun doing the Eagles real flow chart. Back in the day, it used to be Jeffrey Lurie. Then it was Jason Peters, number 2, who was ahead of Howie Roseman. I feel like the Eagles' current organizational flow chart is Jeffrey Lurie, maybe Chris Franklin second, then Dom, then Howie. But I think everyone believes Vic is like way up there. I don't think they're right with that, by the way. And I'm the biggest Vic fan there is. Like Vic's not telling Howie what to do.
yeah, I think
Yeah,
he'll
but
go
can't
over.
Vic
He'll
look at him and say, "Hey, man, I mean, this guy's the reason my defense has been top 5, or a big part of that reason. I'm not telling you what to do, but if I had
No,
any
yeah, I'm
input, I would
sure he'll
tell
give
you to
us
keep Zach
input, but
Baun."
the problem is in the history of this team is they and that's what Chris said was very astute. They have Trotter, and if they fall down that trap, and not to say Jeremiah's a bad player, but they haven't had linebacker play like this for a very long time. And I'm a big TJ Edwards guy, but Zack Baun is near the top of the league. And it's a short sample size. Boy, that Baltimore game's going to tell us a lot about this team because Lamar is a nightmare, both in the running game, space, passing game, everything. That's going to tell us a lot about this team.
Yeah, and you're going to be tested. To me, it's a good test if you're going to go to if you're going to go to the NFC Championship game or Super Bowl. That Ravens team is going to be a good test, not only just for Lamar, but they're going to test your physicality and you're able to withstand a wave upon runs with Derrick Henry in that background. So
That's
you really
true.
see those linebackers tested as well too in terms of that. So
You're right.
I can't wait. I'm not. You can't over. You hope the Eagles are overlooking them. Like they're not overlooking Thursday because of the division. You really hope that Rams game doesn't become a look ahead, especially going to the West Coast and everything else. But yeah, this is it's gonna be a fun. This is gonna be a good telling stretch these next 4 games ish because it'll certainly determine the track who's getting that 1 seed.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think the Eagles are now looking at this NFC like this thing can come through Philly if we handle business and win out or win a majority of games. I know they have some tough opponents left, but we'll see. What they're able to do. Chris, I want to get your takeaway on Jalen Hurts yesterday. A lot of talk about him. I thought he had a good overall game. There were some decisions early in the game that people had an issue with. What'd you make of him holding on to the ball a little bit, and then just your thoughts on his game overall yesterday in Jerry's world?
There's a lot. It was reminiscent. Like I remember when I was younger watching Donovan McNabb, where if he didn't feel like the receiver was open enough or had enough separation, he'd hold on to the ball and then try to scramble, run around, do that. I'm seeing a lot of that with him. Like it's almost he just needs. It's almost like he's damned to do damned if he doesn't. Because if he does it, if he holds on to the ball, he doesn't want to think, oh, you're missing open receivers, but you don't throw an interception. Then he finally sees it and he throws it late. Why'd you throw that ball? Why did you throw that? is going to. I just want to see his anticipation. That's it. Just trust that you guys are going to be in that area. I think that's the only thing that's really pulling this off his back. 1, 2, 3, let it rip. If you
Yeah.
trust what you see, let it go.
Well, I think that's we go back to the Jacksonville, the 4th and 3 to AJ Brown. If that's out on time, that's at the bare minimum. It's a first down conversion. He's probably going to get a touchdown. If not, it's going to be down at the 1 or 2. That's the kind of play we're talking about. So Next Gen Stats updated their time to throw statistics. Now Jalen is dead last in the NFL. Dead last. Now, part of that is good because how many plays did he make extending the play yesterday? Goddard uncovering, Johnny Wilson uncovering. All these are positives. But boy, when the play is there and the ball doesn't come out, that's the most frustrating thing, I think, for any coach. And then you get starting, oh, that's a stupid call, 4th and 3. Well, the play's there to be made. Where do you get that sort of back and forth? He does a lot of good by extending plays, but there's some bad when you hold on to the football that long.
Yeah, and it kind of reminds me. I'm paraphrasing this, so I want to say it's a direct quote, but it reminds me of what the 22 Eagles in their quarterback manual they had. Like there's certain things where how to address the press, like how to address everything else. And there's a command they had to have their commandments in the beginning, and it says like it's okay. Like nobody plays a perfect game. Everybody makes mistakes. It's the amount of limiting those mistakes that you make. So you can be aggressive. You can do that. I think he's gotten to the point interception wise. Nobody's going to look at him and go, "Wow, look at this. This is horrible." Because you see some of the quarterbacks, like besides like Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, a lot of those quarterbacks are he's got a low interception rate. So it's one of the points where say take a shot. No, and if you're going to take a shot when he does deep, just treat it like a punt. Just make sure you're not behind when you really need to make a throw. But if you're tied or you're ahead by 3, take the shot. Just trust the anticipation. Check your field presence, and you're good. But overall, I think after say all that aside, the fact that he was able to rebound at halftime and really, and we saw what happened when he did that. He seemed like he recovered. They made a lot quicker throws because he was getting a lot of pressure. And then after that happened, he was 1, 2, 3, look, go. You just want to see him get that in the intermediate areas of that route because they can really rack up even more yards in that passing game.
Yeah. Lamar Jackson, by the way, 24 touchdowns, 2 interceptions this year.
Yep,
I believe.
100 much far behind too. Yeah.
123 passer rating.
We got to see it a little later in the year, though. October Lamar is becoming famous.
So well, he's going to be MVP Lamar again, but if he doesn't win in the playoffs, he's gonna hear some shit. No question about it. That's all people care about. But right now, he's the best player in the world, so that's going to be an interesting matchup. I will say this build-up Eagles team, when it comes to being a legit Super Bowl contender, I think they've crossed that bar. I think they're back in that category. And I got to tell you, Chris, is it as simple as they never stink and lose when AJ's on the field?
Yeah, because it's bad. It's bad enough when you have if you're a defensive coordinator, and I know it's a basketball. I've said it before here, but like in terms of gravity, it's a basketball term, but you got to gravitate towards Saquon Barkley and try to stop the run. And you got to worry about AJ Brown, who can seem to go off for 100 yards no matter what game he's in. And you got to worry about Devontae Smith because he can make some big time plays downfield. You can only devote so many resources, and he can't do it. And then so the fact that Saquon's there, and these teams can't play so much cover 2, so much cover 4 as much as they want to try to stop him. He's probably been the biggest beneficiary of this all when he's on the field because the 1-on-1s he's getting, I'll take that. That old saying, if you're even, we're leaving. I'm taking the evens with him all the time because 9 times out of 10 he's gonna catch that ball. So the way that he's been playing is reminiscent. He's only a couple of touchdowns away now. I mean, like the 7th player in history to have a 100-yard season, 500-yard season and 5 touchdowns since he's coming in the league. That's the type of player he is. he's on track to be a Hall of Fame type guy. So to have him in part of your offense, to have him with the production you're getting, and to have him against these defensive backs where we're seeing there's not that many shutdown guys in the league anymore. Like, and most of them are over in the AFC. Surtain, Sauce Gardner, I think I look at them and I'm like,
Yeah.
top two, they're on the other conference. So you can eat in this conference.
Yeah. One of the most, looking at the snap counts, which I think are always skewed, Chris, on these blowout games, because the Eagles have done a good job. They didn't do a good job in 2022. They're doing a good job now of getting guys out and getting some younger players some much needed developmental snaps, but they don't mean that much in the larger picture. It is garbage time. So to me, the most important part of what I'm going to say to you is the first half. And here's the first half edge rusher snaps for the Philadelphia Eagles. Josh Sweat, 21. Brandon Graham, 15. Jelix Hunt, 13. Ahead of Nolan Smith at 11 and Bryce Huff with 6. What do you make of that?
That they're willing to try anything at this point right now. And Jalen comes when he got his opportunities before his game, proved that he had that quickness and that burst, and that he's ahead of schedule in his development. Especially the fact, and I look at him as, and the fact that Bryce Huff is not really getting that. If to me, if Huff was really as ineffective with that wrist, he was pretty much ineffective ahead of that side. But the fact that he's ineffective with that wrist, why not just sit him completely?
Yeah, he wouldn't be playing if he couldn't play. It's not. Yeah, I'm with you.
He's being outworked, and Hunt's taking the most of this opportunity, and he's running with it literally, and he's been effective enough. You look at some of those pass rushers. Yeah, does he need to make a second move? Yeah, like that one too. But that you see the quickness that he has and the potential he has, and we all know how sometimes they have to drop. And he's a forward safety. You see all those combinations. He fits in this type of system more, I think, than Bryce Huff does. And you look at Huff, you just shake your head like you've tried the 4-point stance. You've tried making them around. I don't know what else you can do.
Come on, he got a big strip sack, Bryce Huff. Strip sack.
Right. Yeah. Okay. When was that again? And then the thing is, I like the guys.
Garbage time.
Yeah, I like that person, but you look at the production, you're just getting like, you have this albatross now of a contract that's sitting on your books, and you can't really get the most of it.
That's a tough. Boy, the Eagles got to do something. They gotta take their medicine after the season. You're right. They gotta double down and pay an edge rusher.
Yeah, maybe that strip sack galvanizes. I hope it sounds like the same thing. Maybe that one pressure helps them out. Maybe that was it. Maybe the strict. We've been saying this all year. Like, and it's the point. Like, I feel like I'm saying just to say it, but maybe the strip sack helps him and leads him to get his confidence back. You know, who knows? But it's at the point where you're leaning more towards it's not than it is going to do it. It's a rough thing.
Chris, looking at this NFC, I'm not sure if you caught the Lions game last night, which was a pretty wild game. How much have the Eagles closed the gap to Detroit, in your opinion, or have they not closed it at all? Who do you have sitting atop the NFC right now through 10 weeks?
I think Detroit still belongs in the number one spot. Just that talent. And the thing is, you see a lot of teams with talent, but it takes a lot of character to be down. When you can come back from your quarterback throwing 5 interceptions.
That's unbelievable.
Look,
to win a game like that.
Yeah. On the road, too. Not just at home, on the road against another playoff team. That, good luck. Now that you look at their schedule, it ain't all that great coming up, too. Like, they're going to have a tough road, too. So the NFC is in play. The Eagles just can't lose. Because you're hoping maybe the Vikings team, you're hoping that maybe there's something on the line there where at I think it's the last game of the season, next to last, something like that. You hope that there's something on the line where they can do that, because I think the Vikings can play them well.
Not yesterday.
Yeah.
Sam Darnold turned into Sam Darnold. The slipper didn't fit anymore.
No, it's bad. He was bad too. You're hoping, but yes, you're hoping mainly you're hoping in the North, some of those teams beat them up, some familiarity. So I just think it's tough, because if I'll say this, if whoever finishes at the 1 seed, whether it be the Lions or Eagles, I think they represent the NFC. because playing you go to Detroit, that place is
Detroit,
loud, and then
that's
it's a track. That field is a track for them. You come to Philly, you got the crowd noise, you got the crowd and everything else. Still, I think Detroit, they proved, as we saw last night, they were resilient. So I still think whoever wins the 1 seed, they come represent the North. So the Eagles have to keep taking the win, reel off these wins, and hope for the Lions, the NFC North teams, to really start to take a chunk out of it in the loss column.
Yeah, we'll see how it all plays out.
At C Franklin News, make sure you follow Chris on the X platform. Read him at nj.com. Does a tremendous job there. I mentioned Lamar Jackson's going to win the MVP again, but I'm trying to get Penei Sewell a vote, Chris Franklin. Did you see him at all? My God.
It's beautiful thing. It was beautiful. See a wash down lineman from his tackle spot all the way down to where the A gap was.
Unbelievable. It's like Trent Williams in his prime. That's the only thing I can compare it to. I mean, and people, it's one of those things where you see D-backs, they're fearful when he gets in the open field. It's like, oh my. It is something to see an offensive lineman have that kind of impact on a team. And you're right. He watched the entire defensive front by himself. And Gibbs missed a cutback. He would have still been running. Yeah.
There's so many things like you just follow, especially in pressure time. I think the Eagles do this too. But in pressure times, you really need back. So many teams try to get too cute. Oh, let's run around the edge or anything. Just run at a defense behind your best offensive lineman and just go north-south and pick up yards. That's what the Detroit Lions are just playing basic fundamental football. Oh, we have an extremely good tackle, Penei Sewell. Run right behind him. And what happened?
Yeah.
Just hope the running back makes a good cut, but yeah.
Jameer Gibbs can run though.
Yeah, he can. I shouldn't do this, but it's the first time in many years I'm going to say that Lane Johnson is not the best right tackle in football.
Wow. I think that's fair, though.
Yeah. Penei Sewell's the best right tackle in football.
Yeah. I don't know.
It's not bad being number 2 to that guy, though.
Yeah, I'm not so sure, though, because I look at I still think Lane still has them in pass sets in a way. I still think he has that too. And both road graders shit. It's a lot closer. I still take Lane, but I think it's a lot closer to what it was at each other time.
I think I got to go with you, Chris. I might still take Lane, but Penei does a little more, right? Like he moves so well. I mean, you saw him cutting over, as John mentioned. I don't know. They're both really good.
And those gap assignment. Like if I'm running a lot of gap stuff, I'll run Penei. If I'm running zone stuff, I'll run.
And I love Lane, so I'm biased, and I'm still going. Penei. I'm still going.
Penei's a beast. Chris, thanks for joining the show, man. Great insight as always after a big win. Make sure you guys follow Chris on X at C Franklin News and read all his work at nj.com. Chris, thanks for joining, man. We'll talk to you again soon. All right, brother?
Yeah. Thank you, guys. Y'all have a good one now.
Yeah,
thanks, Chris.
Man. Great to have Chris Franklin on. Great to have Jeff Kerr on. 2 great guests here on our Monday show after the Eagles destroyed the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, you know, if they had curtains, though, it might have been a different game, Zander. Might have been a different game if they got curtains in AT&T Stadium.
They may be, but they don't. So we got the win. Thank you very much. We got a couple super chats, John, we'll hit before we get out of here today. A good Monday show. We appreciate everybody being here. By the way, we're up to 195 likes. Big thanks to Prince in the chat for keeping track of that. Can we get the well over 200 before the show concludes? Thanks, everybody, for all the support in the chat today. Good crowd, as always. We appreciate you. Alexander Harris checks in. He says, before the season started, John, you said you expected the defense to be middle of the pack. How surprised are you with the defense right now? Good question there, Alexander.
Oh, tremendously surprised. Yeah, that was my goal, and I thought the Eagles would reach it with Vic Fangio. I thought he could take them from bottom of the league to middle of the pack. I think that was the optimistic view. And right now, we'll see. They might be, you got to wait till after tonight, but when the NFL puts them out, and not that traditional statistics matter that much, but after that game, they might be number 1 in the NFL. um, from a traditional perspective, and they've been tremendous. And we talked about Zack Baun a lot. They got Zack Baun for $1.6 million. It's been one of the best linebackers in football. Nakobe's getting better. Quignon's been tremendous. Cooper's been off the charts. The defensive front's been great, except for Bryce Huff, and except for not being able to find that consistent third edge player. Chauncey's getting better after a slow start. Not much to complain about defensively right now.
Yeah, we'll see how it all shakes out here. Coming up, Seth checks in. Seth, thank you, brother. He says, John, I see this game against Washington much like the Packers game. Jalen will struggle early, but it will be a shootout to the finish. Am I wrong?
No, I think there's going to be some points scored in this one. But I don't think Washington is as dangerous as a Green Bay or a bunch of teams, to be honest. I still think they have some steps they have to take, but the quarterback is so unique. That could be a situation where you play well, bang, he kills you with an off-schedule play, that type of thing. So I think Washington is very unique, a lot like the Eagles, but without the Eagles' talent to do traditional things, if that makes sense.
Yep.
But that quarterback's going to be a problem for a long time, as long as he stays
let's
healthy.
see, John. Let's see. He's got to hold up, man. He's a small dude. He takes some big
Well, I'm
hits.
saying, I said if he stays
Yeah.
healthy, he's going to be a problem for a long time. People said the same thing about Lamar, and Lamar's holding up pretty well.
That's true. That's true. I kind of put Lamar in a category of his own.
Well,
but,
so do I. But
yeah,
I did like Jaden a lot better than Caleb Williams. Now part of that, Chicago's a bad situation, which I talk about kind of all the time, but Washington wasn't a great situation either.
he turned that thing around quick.
Yeah.
Credit to Dan Quinn too. I mean, I'm not the biggest Dan Quinn guy, but got to give him some credit. I mean, that team it looks like a new organization this year.
Yeah, but it's been the defense. The Eagles' defense has been. So here's the numbers again, opponents, but still in the modern NFL and during this winning streak, the Browns 244, the Giants 119, the Bengals really good offense 280. They still held in under 300. Jags 215, Cowboys 146. The Giants were somehow worse than the Cowboys.
The NFC least, it might be back. Besides, I guess the Eagles and the Commanders holding up the conference. Good stuff there.
5 games in the NFL.
Yeah,
NFL. That's pretty. That's
what
impressive.
I mean, man. I know the teams aren't good, but to do it consistently is still an accomplishment in the NFL. Any given Sunday, everybody tells me that all the time until we beat some bad teams, and then they're like, "Oh, who gives a shit?" Well, I give a shit. How about that? Kenny Sprague checking in. Here we go. John, you think Cena will win Royal Rumble and beat Gunther? Classic Cena heel at WrestleMania. Also, acknowledge me, Johnny Mac.
That's an interesting question. John, for those who don't know, is going to have a big retirement tour pretty much starting at the beginning of next year, and then walk away to his Hollywood riches. But, I would say if Vince was still in charge, no way is he winning the Royal Rumble, because Vince's belief was, you're always built for the future. He's not going to be here. He's not going to be the guy I'm building around.
All right.
Whereas the new regime is a little bit more open to doing stuff that would, pop the fan base, so to speak, for a short period of time. And John winning, that would tie Ric Flair's record. Of course, those records are even more bullshit than NFL statistics, but nonetheless, fans think it would tie the record. So it would be a big deal to win one last title at WrestleMania. I would never say never, but I don't know if there's credibility for John Cena to beat Gunther at this point. I don't think John Cena would want that, by the way. He's a weirdo. He's the most unselfish guy on the planet. And I don't think he wants to do that. But, yeah, that's an interesting question for the wrestling podcast.
Yeah.
That's people tune out.
We're ready to start I'm not a wrestling fan, but I will say I liked I've seen like a couple things. I'm not as locked in on it, so I don't really know where it stands right now. But I liked the acknowledgement guy. Why am I blanking on his name right now?
Roman Reigns.
Yeah, Roman Reigns. I liked him. I liked the way he played into his whole shtick. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Is he still atop of everything?
Oh yeah, he's the biggest star they got.
Yeah, good stuff.
Even though Cody Rhodes is the champion, Roman is still the.
Did Cody Rhodes beat him? Is that what happened last year?
Yeah. Beat him in Philly.
Cody Rhodes. Come on.
I'm not a big Cody guy, but he's tremendously popular. I'll say this about Cody Rhodes. Fanatics, our guy Michael Rubin used to own part of the Sixers, billionaire. They've taken over the entire, basically, apparel world. They have deals with the NFL, NBA, WWE, blah, blah, blah. Typically the highest merchandise sellers were, the LeBron Jameses of the world, whoever is hot at that particular time. Cody Rhodes is always top 5 in all sports.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive. That's why he's putting them up there, Johnny Mac. Yeah. You know how it works.
And I have no idea why people like him, but they love him.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Didn't Jody like him?
Yeah, Jody likes AEW. Jody's got some problems. I'm joking, Jody. I love you.
Shout out to Jody Mac. Good stuff, everybody. Thanks for being here today. John, any final thoughts on this game, man? Listen, I know everybody wants to downplay it. We blew out the Cowboys, and the Cowboys suck. I'm happy for that.
They haven't won there in 7 years. You can enjoy the win if you're an Eagles fan. They haven't won there in 7 years. You're supposed to take advantage of this type of situation, but they did it, and it doesn't mean that much. I'm not going to say it means anything, but they did what they're supposed to be, and that's a good thing.
No doubt about it. Big win yesterday, 34-6. Birds moved to 7-2 on the year. Commanders fall to 7-3 after a nail-biting loss to the Steelers yesterday. So wide open NFC East, a wide open NFC, really, I think. I know the Lions are still atop, but I think they can be beaten. And we will
Don't sleep on the great Brock Purdy yet.
Oh, I never slept on Brock Purdy. In fact, I took a lot of heat for saying I liked Brock Purdy when they were 3-3.
It's got more to do about the supporting cast, but you get my point.
Yeah, but Brock, you still got to have a competent quarterback.
He's a fine quarterback. I'm just saying he's not the reason I'm worried about them.
Yeah,
but he's fine. He's fine.
Good stuff, everybody. Thanks, everybody in the chat today. And by the way, one final big thank you to our great veterans of this nation. It's Veterans Day today, so I would encourage every single person listening right now, whether you're a veteran or not, to thank a veteran today for what they do for this country. JAKIB supports our veterans always through and through, and we appreciate all of our veterans for their service to our nation. John, they're the reason that we can sit here on a Monday morning and talk about football. So thank you guys for thanks all of our veterans.
Football's kind of meaningless in the big picture of things, and we give them all the credit in the world. 100% with you. So happy Veterans Day. And short week. Let's turn the page on this one tomorrow.
Yeah,
let's John,
we got to turn Washington. There's not much here I mean, it's not like it's a tough page to turn here. We're turning an empty page, so we'll do that. A little overtime here today. Went 7 minutes over. We appreciate everybody in the chat. Got up over 200 likes. Thank you guys for that, for the support. Johnny Mac, great show, man. We will talk to you tomorrow on Birds 365. Short week, everybody. Get ready to turn the page, as Johnny Mac mentioned. John, we'll talk to you tomorrow, brother.
All right. Thanks, guys.
All right. Thanks, everybody. See you tomorrow.
You've been listening to Birds 365. the destination for the passionate Eagles football fan who bleeds green. If it's Eagles football, we're talking about it. Debate inside the locker room and guests that are some of the greatest football minds from around the region. We hope you enjoyed the show. We know we had a blast. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll be back soon. But in the meantime, hook up with us on social media at JAKIB Sports. See you next time on Birds 365.